And we live? We rolling? All right. What's the topic? By the way, Freedom Phil, like, subscribe, and always turn up the video speed. I'm going back to the wasteland. And it feels like my pilgrimage, like my Mecca to some degree. I am not born of the desert, but there was something so enchanting on those two winters I stayed there. And I can't shake it. I can't, it's like, you know when you fall in love with a place, and mind you, I wouldn't want to be there during the summer. I'd be heading north. But it's the simplicity at times. It's not just the cat-sized foxes. I really get excited to see them. I love foxes. I think they're cute. And they're like a little miracle. But it's the simplicity of it. The absence of common-born normie problems. What am I talking about? Once again, Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Let's get into it. I just paid $800 to the local city that I have a house up north. I haven't found a decent PM for that place. And by the way, I'm not worried about anything happening there because that's one of those places, those cities where nothing ever happens. They don't have drug addicts running around like little golem type meth heads everywhere. No, you don't have that problem there. And if they are around, they're afraid to start shit because they will be run out of town. So it's a beautiful place, but I have no interest in being there during the dead of winter. I can't turn off the water. If I turn it off, like I can shut it off the water itself. But if I turn off the contract, I'll have to pay like $5,000 to $10,000 to turn it back on. So there's been a lot of years. This has been one of the burning points of my existence where I have to pay a water bill effectively for a place I'm not at, for water I'll never drink. Meanwhile, the neighbors will copiously piss it away on their lawns and shit, and I'm ridiculously efficient. I got used to wasteland tactics where, as far as drinking water, between me, my dog, and cooking, maybe a gallon a day or less, because I'll go down to the Virgin River and maybe I'll bathe down there, top off some jugs, get a little workout carrying them back up. You know, it's just a better life. And I'll use that water for the backwoods bidet and cleaning things. I'll use that for bathing as well if I decide not to go down the hill. There's no problems in the wasteland. There isn't a bunch of minimum fees in the wasteland. When I deal with the human society, it's basically, here's a sign, you can do this, you can't do that, don't you dare sleep here at night, you know, only daytime hours, what are you doing? Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good people in the world. I know this because when I've traveled and bum change, there are a handful of good people out there. For the most part, though, there's a lot of people, they're not bad. There's very few tone-deaf evil people in the world, and there's even fewer truly good people. Most people are middle of the road, and they're apathetic and useless. And I get it. Their lives, they got their own problems, totally get it. But then there's the people and the systems that are just a pain in the ass. And the simplicity of what I have in the wasteland, or if I'm in a clear cut, you know, people say, you know, why do you pay for the Discovery Pass? Why? Because then I get access to those campgrounds. I mean, I could drive in there and top off my water, but it is kind of nice being able to use the DNR campgrounds. You show up there, you got your Discovery Pass, you're filling up your water, they don't even bother you then. They don't even go, you know, waving a big fat finger. You know, that $35 is well worth the money when I top off, you know, a month's worth of water, and then I head to someplace in the deep with great sun and the clear cuts. And maybe I see somebody a few times a week. You know, someone drives up and you kind of wave, they wave. Good way to have people not fuck with you, guaranteed. One, I'm an ogre, large hulking ogre of a man. But wear a sidearm. Like, if someone says, what do you need that for? I don't know. What do you need to be asking about it? Huh? And it's kind of, you know, when people ask you that type of question, it's like one guy once said, I was at this hippie commune, What do you need that for? Try to keep us honest? And I looked back at him and said, are you implying you'd be lying otherwise? Some of the people chuckled and laughed. Well, think about this for a second. Other than the rare animal experience that I have yet to run into, like most of the time, I saw a bobcat about a month ago or so when I was out there up in the Northwest. It was really cool. It was like, it would just kind of bounded across the road a little ways in front of me as I was driving down a logging road. And I'm like, wow, that was cool. That's a bobcat. Never seen that. And I have yet to have that. Like, I don't want to, I've seen some bears, and I'm bear aware. I really should get some bear spray. Never seen a cougar, thankfully. I still do the thing that I've done since I lived in the woods for that 4 years. Yeah, I lived in the woods in my early 20s for 4 years. My buddy's dad had land. I rented it for $100 a month, and I built a homemade yurt. The original house of sticks. People gave me a lot of shit about it. I had a wood stove, but my rent was $100. Theirs was 700 something plus utilities. Who was winning, motherfuckers? If I'd had the sense back then that I do now, I would have been driving truck from as young as possible. Or I at least would have got a job at the mill. I would have been like, look, the meat plant, thanks, boss. John, you're a great guy. But it was a waste of my time, a waste of my life. But I didn't know anything better back then. Living in the woods, much like the wasteland, I would just go into town. It was also, by the way, it was a lot easier back in the day to fill up your water. I'd go into town and fill up my water. And I'd used to be the public showers at the marina, but then eventually it was the showers at the Y. You get a Y pass just for that reason. And they had a sauna there, which is pretty cool. You want to feel really clean any time of day of the year. Go take a shower before a workout. Then do a really good workout. Then take a shower after your workout. You can probably skip the first shower, by the way, if you're already clean. But take a shower after your workout. Then go into the sauna, because you don't want to be a stinky guy in the sauna. And then sweat. And then after you're done sweating, go take another shower. Your pores are cleaned out. Your body feels so good. That is by the way, whether you're rich, poor, or whatever, everybody should have access to a sauna or a steam room at some point. Somewhere. Just to get the internal gunk out of your skin. It's the most wonderful thing. I lived a very laid-back, simplistic life. And I could argue I screwed up my life by buying a house. I listened to my family. I thought they knew. And at the time, maybe they thought I was just going to end up married with some kids or something. I mean, that's not, I was 25 years old. That's not, wouldn't have been weird. But I bought the place, and I've always been a drifter. I lived in the woods for 4 years. So, by the way, dealing with the mortgage system, like pay this, work that, work a shit job. I'm working with my brother-in-law. He was a good guy, but I wasn't getting anywhere doing that. Didn't learn enough to really get anywhere doing construction because we built whole houses, so you're not really getting good at anything. You just have a cursory knowledge of it. That was such a pain in the ass. And when I got that garbage job, driving a trash truck, being a rear end loader. 4 years later, I had that house paid off. And I said to myself, I am never going to buck myself down again. But all along the way, there's always that water bill. And then insurance. I've never made an insurance claim in my life. And yet, because of everybody else's problems, my problems keep on everybody's problems, including inflation, the taxes. Y'all want stuff, but you don't want to pay the taxes for it. COVID, all that, devaluing the dollar, all these things. My insurance for my house is doubled. Hell, if it wasn't for some intelligence from my sister, it probably would be tripled. She's like, oh yeah, this company, that company. I had to really search around. I'm like, thank you, by the way. I will turn my place into a rental sooner or later. I just want somebody to manage it so I don't have to deal with the collecting of money or the evictions. Everything else is pretty brainless. Hey, there's a plumbing problem. Shouldn't be. All the pipes are brand new. But there's a problem. I call me up. I call up the guy. He goes over and fixes it. And then I claim it on my taxes. Not a big deal. But I want somebody to handle all that so I don't have to deal with it. And that place will pay for itself. And when the market gets good and it's a seller's market again, oh, fuck yeah. At this point, I'm like, okay, I'll take everything that I want off the property and I'll say whatever's left in the garage, like all that plywood, it's yours. You know? All the firewood there, whatever. Move the battle van to another place. Probably lot 19. I may even just sell lot 19. And just wipe my hands of that state. By the way, lot 19 doesn't give me problems. It's just raw land. I just pay my taxes. The only problem I may have is the highway taking part of my land on the lower end and maybe having to build a road through my property down to Fisherman's Drive, which I've said a million times, just build it right on the borderline of my property. I'll go half and half with the neighbors. And then you got your side and I'll just have a little park spot up here for a camper or something. You know, do it the same way. By the way, ironically, in the same town that I have to pay for water in, right outside of town for the campers, because there's a huge industry of camping, fishing, hunting up there in that part of the Rocky Mountain country I'm in. A lot of rich people from all over the world come there to fly fish. And a lot of people come there to build their dream cabins up there because it's that beautiful. Think about Yellowstone like that, okay? There's a water spigot, a fresh water. It says drinking water right on it, right outside of town, near the big gas station. There's this little pull-in that the city provides where people can dump their RVs, and there's also a drinking water thing there. I can get water for free from the same fucking town that I got to pay $130 a month for water I never drink. When I use, maybe going crazy, 1,000 gallons a month, which by the way is only $1.40, $1.40. I still have to pay $130 for water, sewer, and garbage. 98% of my bill, let's say 99 point something of my bill, is quite literally fees. It's not that I used it. It's not that the service. It's not like my neighbors where they turn on their sprinklers and they're on for 24 hours in the same fucking place. No. See, this is why I have such a bone to pick with living in society. It's this regulation, it's this sign, it's this fee. But there's none of that in the wasteland. No. None of it. If I dig a deep-ass cat hole, like a 2-3 foot deep cat hole, and crap in that all winter, use my backwoods bidet, little bleach washcloths, guess what? No problems. There's no one there. There's no one there to give me any problems. I used a composting toilet or anything else like that as well, whatever. No problems, no people. No people equals no problems. If I'm out there just collecting a little firewood and I'm using my rocket stove to cook some food, or I'm using a solar oven, no people, no problems, no stupid regulations right in my face all the time. The places I go, you're up there, you're kind of hidden. You could be there for months and no one would care. Months. And you'll see a handful of people, a little tribe of side-by-sides or razors, whatever you call them, come by about once a week, a handful of them, like anywhere from 3 to 5, maybe 6. You wave, they wave back. They see the corgi. They're like, oh my God, a corgi. Maybe in an entire 5 to 6 month period, I see what I would say, maybe 5 vehicles come up on my hill. And usually on the in-between seasons, like the fall and the spring, you might get a hiker that walks up my hill. I always pray, hey, I hope I'm not taking a dump when these people come by. You know the biggest problem out in the wasteland? You're out there and the wind picks up. So you learn to dodge the storm. You learn to watch it. Okay, the wind's going to be this time of the day, good time to cook this time of the day, cook the food, let it sit there. Or set up the solar oven, add the extra rocks for weight, on the sides to make sure it doesn't get tipped over. The wind is the biggest problem. I hate the fucking wind. I do. I hate it. The, and by the way, dodging storms is something I've learned to do over the years. Like, you got to cook outside, got to deal with stuff in the Northwest. If it's kind of a rainy season, you just, hey, it's not raining. Good time to cook. Good time to do everything we need to do outside. You know? There's a great level of inner peace I get from being there. And I don't get that peace in society. When I'm living in my house, I'm not really part of anything. You know, there's some people I know around town because of business, but I'm not one of them, and I never will be. I wasn't born there. You know, I'm not married into any of them. You know, you ain't from here. I've always been an outsider. Even in my hometown, they know me, I'm from there. But still, I don't get the invite. Even with my family, I get the invite, don't get me wrong. There's only 2 family members left that I actually think, and one of them isn't even blood relation, but he's fun to party with. He's responsible, irresponsible. He's a great guy. He's got his issues, and I got the sibling that's super responsible. It's a great conversation, you know? But I got a handful of people, couple people that are worth a damn in my life. Everybody else, they're not bad people, but they're not friend nor foe. In fact, I'd argue I've had better conversations a lot of times with random truckers at a truck stop than I've had with a lot of these people. Because a lot of them, they're so up their own fucking asses that it's not even there. Friends, where are my friends when I'm not around? If I'm not keeping the fire going, if I'm not constantly going out and collecting wood to keep that fire going, just like with a lot of family members, it just dies. Because they put little, if any, effort. It's like it's my job. Like it's some sort of welfare system. I found some sort of weird inner peace. Not only in the woods back in the day, but it was like I remembered that inner peace of the woods when I was in the wasteland. There's nothing like creosote bush and some button cactuses. There's fucking nothing there. But there's no problems either. There's no human-made problems. I go into town, hit up the food banks, go to places I know I can top off my water for free, top off my water. Maybe when I leave the town or around the holidays, I'll go and hustle for some change. I can live off, let me give you the numbers. The same numbers for trucking, by the way. My insurance in the old van is under $25 a month. The laundry is about $15 a month, assuming I don't do it in a creek. I actually kind of prefer creek laundry. And now let's see, 30 for cell phone, 25, 15 for laundry. Food, a little extra there, here and there. Let's just say 100 a month, even though everything I get at the food banks is more than enough. But you buy a few extras here and there. But I'm just going with 100, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Learn how to cook, by the way, people. Let's see, laundry, cell phone, insurance. We're not even up to $200 here. And if possible, I would much rather go to buy my clothing at a thrift store. Unless it's something I can get at a discount price at Walmart. You know, like, some things are just a deal. But yeah, so we're talking $200 to $300 a month. And I'm perfectly happy. I mean, if I was smoking weed, I miss weed, but I'm going to be honest. I want to, you know, I didn't smoke weed, by the way, just a little history lesson here. I didn't smoke weed much as a kid. As a young teenager, young 20-something, I smoked it a few times with some friends. And eventually, when I got a decent job, well, I couldn't smoke weed. In fact, I'd avoid parties where people were smoking it because I had a mortgage to pay off. And I didn't want to catch some minor contact high and they get pulled in. There were times they were gunning to try to get me fired. I remember one time there's this plate of brownies at the garbage company. And they're like, you should have some of these brownies. I'm like, I'm good. I didn't trust anybody there. I know that sounds kind of suspicious, but I'd been UA'd so many fucking times. I remember one time the manager goes, I can't believe you don't smoke weed, because I'm kind of a wild, crazy person. I'm like, yeah, I'm just naturally nuts. And then that day the brownies were there. One guy was like, he's like, man, you really gotta try these. And he was a super Christian, really, really got high on the faith. And he ate a brownie or two, and then I could tell he was fucking buzzed. You know, big happy eyes and shit. You know what happened the next day? I didn't eat the brownies because I didn't trust it. In fact, I didn't eat anything that I didn't open myself. There was a UA the very next day. The P-Man showed up. And I thought to myself, you motherfuckers really tried to take me out like that. You tried to ruin my fucking life. You human filth. That is how I view it. Plate of brownies the day before. Other driver was high. And by the way, when P-Man showed up, that other driver was there that morning. I'm like, hey, you should test him too. He's like, nope, it's not my turn. Yeah, he knew what the fuck was going on. There's a special place in hell for people like that. Not just him, but the people that made the brownies, all that bullshit. All that fucking bullshit. I didn't smoke weed for years because I had responsibilities. And then when I was unemployed, I think only a couple times in that year and a half. Hey, I was getting $5.25. It's about 2 years of me being unemployed. You know, the year and a half of Obama money. And I applied at places, but I came from a town where the unemployment was ridiculously high. You know, I look back at it, and I didn't smoke for over 10 years or so because I was driving truck. And even when I wasn't, just like right now, like last April is the last time I had any pot. And I told everybody, I'm not driving. I divide myself. I either do this or do not do this. And I can tell you right now, last April 15th, last time I smoked, ran out of pot and said, okay, that journey for now is over until I'm done trucking. So I go out and start applying for jobs off and on, in between dealing with house nonsense. And it's this whole hanging on the, leave people hanging. They sound interested, but then it's like, it's just, I like I've said before, I feel like a lot of times these employers, they're collecting applications like fucking Pokemon cards. It's the part I hate about it. In fact, I would really love, I should probably look for something like this, an employing agency where I can put my credentials in and they can deal with this shit. The employers could look at it and go, hey, this guy's a good match. I don't have to waste my time applying to dozens of people. It's annoying. Oh, and they all have their own little fucking, pardon my French here, but, online stupid application. God, can you just give me a paper application? I can do an online application, but your programs are crap. You put in the dates that you lived in there. One place was obsessed about, where did you live for the last 4 years or 3 years? I'm like, well, I have this house I've had in the other state for 20 years, but I bought this land in this state 4 years ago because I plan on settling back over there, not only for tax reasons, but free food on the beach. Free food everywhere. You get your shellfish license, shellfish seaweed, and you're eating good, motherfucker. But yeah, so I divide myself up. And this is something I have to do because of the human world. I logically think that I should be able to smoke a bowl on my time off. If I have 4 days off, the first night I get back, I should be able to smoke. The second day, maybe a little wake and bake. And the next 2 days, just play it cool, play it clean. Maybe just drink a little vodka the third day. And then the last day, don't drink, don't do anything. Always clean. Because I remember, I will admit, I agree with some people. If you smoke the night before, you do feel a little cool, a little laid back the next day. Not quite as absolutely on edge. Sharp. I don't want to say paranoid, but it's like that perfect on edge. But to sit there and tell me this bullshit that 2-3 days later, you're still, oh, it's still in you. Oh. You're, like 30 days later is how long it takes for it to come out of you. You're still dangerous. It's fucking bullshit. One more thing about the human world I can't stand. Yet I could drink vodka every goddamn day, show up to work with a hangover, and as long as I am technically not drunk, I could be as debilitated from drinking, chronic drinking, like a lot of people are in America. Bad diets, alcoholism, smoke some cigarettes. I could show up day after day like that. In fact, when I used to drive garbage, I did drink a bit more. I'd get off work, go to some place to park the van, usually the sand ship, have a 6-pack, and it had been a long, shitty fucking day. And I told myself when I was younger I would never be that way. Where I would only drink when I was my early 20s. I would only drink if I was in a good mood. I don't get violent, I don't get angry, but I didn't want to become one of those people that was dependent on a 6-pack. And some days were just shitty. And I had crappy customers or bullshit people in my life. And I thrived, kept myself going through a determination of a little bit of hatred, fueling the fires to get me to where I paid off that house. And I'd get done at the end of the day. And I'd actually have names for my beers, people or places or bullshit I deal with. And usually it never made it to all 6 as far as names. But then I'd go number 5, 4, we usually make it to 3 or 4. And then number 5 would be why not? And number 6 was almost always never leave a soldier behind. You know, one of them ice beer, 6-pack of tall boys. Not every night, but pretty common. And that was just what I did. I can do that all the time. God forbid I smoke some wacky tobacco. So, in order to make the money, I just ditch it. That's the part of my life I leave behind. Effectively, like I'll admit, I have better mental outlook, better sleep. I love a mid-afternoon pot nap. You know, you're kind of weary. You smoke a bowl, do the balloon toke technique. And you just take a good nap for about an hour, maybe a little longer. You wake up, you're not high, but you still feel great. Refreshed, energized, feels great. Love that. You don't get that with alcohol. With alcohol, what'll happen is I'll get dry sleep. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'll feel a little warmer. In fact, you know, when they say have a few drinks to warm yourself up, it's kind of true. It could be cold outside, but I'll feel, it's like my system's trying to burn and purge it out. So I'm a little higher temperature. I don't have that problem with pot. But in the world we live in order to make the money, real money, you know, if you're going to work, you might as well get paid. Otherwise, that's what's funny about when I'm bumming change, for instance. People, they're like, go get a job. There's a McDonald's over there. Yeah, okay, boomer. Okay, how about here's the deal. If I take a shit job, can I not pay the taxes for all the crap that you people put into this world? Like, I don't want to pay for your public school system that literally the parents aren't really paying for because they, you know, free public school. I don't want to pay for your Social Security. I don't. Can I have that money back so I can invest it into my retirement? Oh no. Fuck you, boomer. Motherfuckers on buying their 3rd vacation home, sitting there pointing at a bunch of people who can't afford rent. You need to work harder. Fucking boomers. And by the way, Gen X, older Gen Xers are just as fucking bad. Sanctimonious fucks. I get it. You worked hard. You saved your money, invested. Cool. That's the right thing to do. But then to turn around and try to fucking kick the ladder out underneath people so they can't climb up. You inflate the dollar so bad through bonds and levies and fucking just not paying the taxes, but meanwhile enjoying all the things for all those years. You got to buy a house back when it was $10,000. You know, $50,000 house way back in your time, that was a goddamn mansion. That was a McMansion. And then you just had to live in it. You just had to stay in it. That's the world we live in. And there's none of that in the woods or the wasteland. That lack of stupid complications. The world trying to control you. You wake up. By the way, I'll ask this question as kind of a closing thought, because I should get up, go take a little bit of a bucket bath, and get on the day. I got some bumming to do. I got some shit to take care of. I got a big plan for Monday. Is this what it's like when you live on a crazy check? You know, I was in a Dollar Tree a month or so ago up in the Northwest, and I went and bought a bunch of stuff. Some stuff I probably should have been eating, because I was going to be out in the woods for a while. So I loaded up on, you know, like cheesy popcorn, chips. They actually had the good licorice. I mean, I like red vines, but this was the good stuff, you know, the thick stuff. It's like that Australian licorice, except for it was longer. Just like the stuff you find, I think it's a Quick Trips over there in the Midwest. It's great. Best licorice. It's the best. It's my favorite licorice. It's like Candy something or other, Candy Company or whatever it is. Exact same type. Kind of like if you go to the farm stores and they got the cinnamon fire licorice. You see this at, Tractor Supplies. Another thing, just as a side note, that I never see anymore for the most part, unless you go to like their Tractor Supply or one of those Cal Ranch stores. A lot of Cal Ranches don't even have it. The mint wedges. You never just see a giant bag of mint. When I was a kid, you could get mint wedges all like a normal thing. Now they're a rarity. When I get to thinking about it, when I go into like a Dollar Tree and there's a whole situation where when it comes to food, I go in there and I'm like, how much of this could I buy in EBT? They're like, and I separate out the things that obviously aren't food. They're like everything. All this junk food on EBT. A free cell phone on the system. $1,000. You know, when I can live off $200 to $300 a month, you know what $1,000, I'd be just rebuilding stuff on the van. I'd have a brand new solar system. I'd save up my money for a while and then go buy, wait till the deals happen and buy if I could pay for it some way, like if I was on the system, save up enough to where I don't have too much, but then I could buy the good solar system, buy a 2,000-3,000 watt solar generator, upgrade the batteries. It's a real kick in the nuts sometimes when I look at this system. If I had faked crazy years ago, I could literally take the excess money every month and buy gold and silver, save up, buy a cheap piece of land, have someone else buy it, have it in a family member's name, or buy it before you fake crazy. And then you just have one piece of land, you got an RV. Got an RV and a motorcycle. The way. And maybe a pickup and a boat. Maybe just a canoe. Or maybe just a pickup. Fuck the motorcycle. Then you can put a canoe in the back of the pickup. Yes, the other groups of people. It's really crazy when you think about how much you sacrifice for society. How much you have to deal with. And people get so used to this daily butt-fuckery that is normie land, common-born existence. So they don't even question it. They don't think about it. They just do it. They just live it. I don't have any of that in the woods or the wasteland. And the wasteland is like a pure example of it. No people, no problems, good internet, pretty decent, better internet than I have at my northern property, by the way. I got to walk a little ways to get to decent internet. The reason I wasn't streaming that much when I was there was I either had to go up to the power lines or I had to go down to the water to get good enough internet to stream. It's funny, there's 5G somewhere else. Out in the wasteland, the internet's pretty good. You got 50 to 60 channels over the airwaves. A lot of classic TV I love watching. There's something just so tranquil about it. Beautiful. You know, it's no problems. And the cherry on top, the crown jewel for me, and I know it's weird, little cat-sized foxes hunting around my camp, looking for scraps, killing off all the rodents. No rodent problems. And they're the cutest little things. I love the world itself, nature. I love the nature. I love the breeze through the alder trees. When I lived in the woods for 4 years, the sound of the tarp lifting with the breath of the forest. Living in an alder bottom back then, should tell this story another time, or in more detail. During the winter, the leaves would fall off the trees, and you get the sun, so it'd heat up. And then during the summer, the leaves would be on the trees, so you had the shade. And when the forest would breathe, the wind would go through there, it would look like the trees, the movement would look like breathing. And the tarps would rise and fall a little. That rhythmic sound. And the sound of rain on top of the tarps. Falling asleep to that with a little fire in the wood stove. Radio playing low. I lived a very tranquil existence. I've lived more than most people can imagine. Traveled all over the damn country driving truck. I love driving truck. People are like, why haven't you been doing it? Remodeling the house. Little traveling. I didn't think that, being out of the game 3 years would get me from once upon a time. The joke is they would wash my feet and kiss them just for a chance for me to work for them. Being out of the game for 3 years, now I'm treated like a leper. Now I got to go back to being fresh meat. I figure I can do that next spring. I'm not going to go work at a fresh meat company, a starter company with 9 years of experience and a clean record. I'm not going to do that shit in the middle of winter. I drive through winters, but you're going to pay me. I'm going to get paid goddamn good money to deal with that. Now I'll go back next spring. And who knows, maybe I'll find a regular mom and pop decent company between here and then. That's why I don't smoke pot. But to be honest, the little magical experiences, the achievement of God knows how many multiple orgasms, just full body experiences between a little vodka and a few, good old Ghost Train Haze balloon tokes. I am sacrificing something in that respect. But on the other hand, I'd rather drive truck while they're getting still good. Put away a whole bunch of money towards retirement. And then when I finally have the absurdly huge number every year coming in from compound interest, like if I only need $5,000 to get by and I got $50,000 coming in every year, so basically $500,000 or so. And if you only live off $5,000 a year and you're making 80 to 100K, it doesn't take long. Then yeah, I'll just fuck off I'll just do whatever I want till the day I die. Maybe I'll become a fitness bum or something. That'd be funny, But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back down to the wasteland. Really looking forward to it. Ironically, it feels more like home than any house I've ever lived in. To some degree, as much as I love the Northwest, I have a huge affinity for the Northwest. I don't know which one I have more of an affinity for. I don't. Because I really enjoy being up in the woods and the clear cuts. assuming you can get there anymore with all the logging gates and blocked roads and bullshit. I grew up in a whole different world than I see today. But that tranquil inner peace of the middle of nowhere, TV stations, more enough solar, do what you need, cheap food. Love it. Fucking love it. Oh, yeah. And one last closing thing. And this is how I kind of knew where I bought my land over there on the West Coast was a great place. I found my brand of vodka there. And mind you, it cost damn near $10 more there because of taxes. That's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing if it still exists down there in the wasteland. Do they have my brand of vodka? Because I used to buy it $11 a half gallon. And it's not Grey Goose, but it ain't too far away from it. So I've been rambling for a while. About high time I go wash my balls. Get ready for a long day of bumming. Y'all take it easy. Have a good one.